Aaron Donald coming out of retirement to play with Micah Parsons on the Rams? That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor. Join the party, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you're an everyday viewer, you want to support the show, hit the like button, drop a comment down below. Also, podcast listeners, write us a review. We'll read it here on a future episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Covered LA sports for over a decade, 24/7 sports, Bleacher Report, SI, Dodgers Nation. As always, I'm joined by the Rams pre-half and post-game show host for the Rams flagship radio station, ESPN 710 LA. He's entering his 11th season covering your Los Angeles Rams, the People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers. You can follow him on X at Travis Rogers. And on today's episode, we got takeaways from the Rams-Cowboys joint practice sessions. Who stood out? Some more on Kyren Williams' extension. Was this the right move by the Rams? Also, Micah Parsons, Aaron Donald in the same defense for the Rams. That's coming up. But first, today's episode of Locked On Rams brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. All right, Travis, so we're going to get right into this. And it was a lot of commotion in the Rams fandom yesterday. Rams fans running with this, having a good time with this, because there was a Rams fan, an Instagram account. I want to give him credit. It's at Ramblin Man. I think it's kind of what he's going for there.
Okay.
And he posted this picture. Here's my phone. Of course, we do this thing every occasionally time, podcast listeners. I'm showing a picture of Micah Parsons and a really well done Photoshop of him in the Rams away jerseys. And Aaron Donald commented on this, saying, if at Micah Parsons 11, go to the Rams, I might have to call 210 THS and get in football shape. Throws in a couple laugh emojis, kind of the standard one. I'm more of a sideways laugh emoji, like a hardcore laugh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is just like the standard laugh one. With that D line would be unreal. A little face palm and a fire emoji. And then here comes Micah Parsons in to comment on Aaron Donald's comment that says, Aaron Donald, man, 3 exclamation points. Don't tell me info like that. And he throws another 2 exclamation points. So Rams fans having fun with this because this is implying that, hey, if the Rams were to trade for Micah Parsons, then maybe Aaron Donald would come out of retirement. So interesting stuff.
Okay, so here's my question to you, DMac. Do we want to put the disclaimer that this is never going to happen at the beginning or at the end of this conversation?
Okay, so hear me out on this. So more people in America play the lottery and spend more money on lottery tickets than they do on movie tickets, than they do on sporting event tickets, concert tickets, video games, all that combined.
Okay.
That's how much people spend on the lottery. And the reason for that is when you buy a lottery ticket, you can kind of live in that dream for like 24 hours, 48 hours. Think about what you would do with that money. And Travis, I'm just living in this dream because this post, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I'm at. So to answer your question, will this happen? No, but I'm going to live in this dream for at least another maybe 5 hours. Okay?
I'm with you. Look, it's fun. I'm not, this is much like the time where you buy the lottery ticket before you walk back to the car to actually start scratching it off. It could happen, right? We know that it's not going to, but at least it could. So I'm with you. So we'll save it to the end. Fine. No problem. Awesome. Look, here's my general takeaway on two things. Number one, Micah Parsons is going to play for the Cowboys. All Jerry Jones wants is for people to say Dallas Cowboys on podcasts, on television, on the radio, on the internet, in newspapers. He just wants people to say Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, and that is like oxygen to Jerry Jones. He loves that. So this is more of a standoff, so we'll talk about the Cowboys regardless. That's number one. Number two is a little bit more towards the lottery ticket sort of situation, which is, I know Aaron Donald loves the gym. I know Aaron Donald loves to work out and stay fit. But here's the part that I don't quite have a good explanation for. Does he have to work out like that just to go pick up his kids at school or at camp or wherever they may be at this particular moment? That seems like he's still in elite football shape. Now, maybe he's just one of those guys that's going to be jacked when he's 65 years old. Maybe he's one of those guys. Or maybe there is a 1% of a 1% chance in the back of his mind that he's thinking, I'm not done yet and I want to stay close. I just, his level of fitness, his level of workout, his level of the way that he goes about keeping his body in tune leads me to believe that it's not zero. It's as close to zero as you can get without being zero, but it's not zero. And when you hear something like this, and here's my hope, here's my lottery. I've got my lottery ticket, I've got my Mounds bar, and I've got my Slurpee, and I'm heading back to the car loaded up with hope. What if somebody picks up the phone afterwards? What if Micah Parsons calls Aaron Donald, or Aaron Donald calls Micah Parsons and says, "You serious, bro? Really? Like if you would come back if I went over there, or vice versa?" And it sparks a conversation we know the Rams will take a big swing when it's time to take a big swing. We've seen them do it before. And that is the seed of, hey, let's actually have a somewhat real conversation about this, and everybody gets on board, and Parson throws a fit in Dallas, and all of a sudden it's something that is at least was a joke on an Instagram account that becomes a real talking point. There's your lottery ticket back to the car hope that this sparks a conversation between the parties that could actually get this done.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to believe in miracles, right? I mean, if there's any hope or chance of it. I mean, the truth of the matter is, I mean, we can talk about realistically how could this even actually happen, but
right.
As far as would you give up that first round pick in a second and maybe a Byron Young, and then Micah Parsons making $24 million next year, and he wants to be paid as one of the highest, if not the highest paid edge rushers in the league, right there with TJ Watt making $41 million per year. I mean, the thing is that alone, it's like, okay, like you said, I mean, Von Miller, Jalen Ramsey, the Rams, they make moves for special talents if they think they can be a missing piece to a Super Bowl run. But the big kicker on this is that worth it? That'd be a long, hard conversation that you have to talk yourself into it. Well, if that would lead to Aaron Donald coming out of retirement, plus Micah Parsons, plus Brandon Fisk and Jared Verse and Kobe Turner, and you'd have this ferocious defensive line, get 100 sacks or whatever it could be, then absolutely you would consider nuking your future cap space, and you would kind of take away that draft capital that you're kind of having as this war chest to address any needs and possibly find Matthew Stafford's successor. So, yeah, 100% would be worth it. But I think, you know what makes me laugh is what you said about the football shape, the thing about, getting in shape. That's a hilarious thing about this. Like, if he's not in shape, then what the heck is he? You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what that workout is. I want to go back to what you said a second ago. You got your ticket, or you've got your lotto, and you've got number 4 on your 6 numbers, and the first number that comes up is 4. Your next number is 9. The next number that comes up is 9, and you're like, hey, you start spending the money. You start thinking, I'm going to buy the house in Tahoe. I'm going to get the PJ. I'm going to go to make sure I got my house over here, over there. And all of a sudden you're thinking, well, if we can get this, then we can get that and that. And then all of a sudden it's like, nope. That's how do you actually get this done? How do you actually pay for all of these guys? How do you actually decide to get into an economic thing that is somehow not only palatable, because I don't even think that exists, but possible. And it's just not it. And your next numbers don't come up, and you're right back in the car driving home. So at the end of the day, none of these things are going to happen. It's the one morsel of this, D-Mac, that I'm like, all right, man, it flickered in the back of my brain again, is the Aaron Donald. Not that he's going to play with Micah Parsons, or Micah Parsons is going to play for the Rams, but is there Aaron Donald watching some random internet, or Instagram or something and commenting on it? Like, I don't know. It just feels like it's not totally zero that we see him play again at some point, and not with Micah Parsons, but just back with the Rams at some point. And until I see a little bit of a beer belly on that guy, I'm just going to always have that thought.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I mean, he's just like really teasing. I mean, like he's there just enough to make you think that, like you said, I mean, it's more than a 0% chance. Hanging around, having the big workout with Jared Verse, saying, "Yeah, I just want to talk. I just want to talk." Scare the crap out of Jared Verse and be at practice, meeting up with Devontae Adams and things like that. It is definitely one of those things. If I'm part of this Rams defense too, I'm like, hey, AD, like, we're not good enough to want to return. Jared Verse isn't good enough. Kobe Turner's not good enough. I mean, the truth of the matter is this defense up front is already really good. And if you put AD in that mix, it would it'd be taken way over the top, right? I mean, so would it really be a Micah Parsons? It should already, if he was wanting to play and add himself to a really good defense, he could already be doing that with the existing talent the Rams have.
That's a great point. That Micah Parsons obviously is amazing, but it's not like the Rams are devoid of talent on the defensive side of the ball. You just mentioned all those names. That Verse may be the next big guy at that position, and Kobe Turner is going to get a nice big contract, whether it's from the Rams or somebody else. Braden Fisk looks like a long-time, high-level NFL player. Byron Young gets to they're really good at those spots. Now, Parsons, maybe with the exception of Verse, we'll see how it goes. Parsons is better than those guys, but it's not like Aaron Donald's waiting around for them to, get something other than a bunch of slugs. They got good players up front. So if he's waiting for that, that's already there.
Absolutely. They also have a ton of guys they still have to extend. They did one yesterday, but let's be honest. The real winner in all of this is 2/10 speed and agility, the number one pipeline in Western Pennsylvania athletes, a world-class program with elite training, recruiting, consulting, and athlete development. The guy that Aaron Donald tagged in that, I'm pretty sure we just all got kind of played for some free advertisement. That's kind of what this is. But coming up next, get Travis's thoughts on Kyren Williams' new deal with the Rams. Also, we're talking about the Rams-Cowboys joint practice session. What can we take away from that? That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
This episode of Locked On Rams is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. It is the best time of the year, right? The season is almost here. The NFL kickoff is right around the corner, and that means fantasy football season is back in full swing. And this year, Yahoo Fantasy is turning things up with a fantasy football experience like never before. This year, me, D-Mac, Locked On Rams, we're all playing Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too. Whether you are a newbie, a first-timer, or a veteran filling out your lineup for the 1 millionth time, right? I've used Yahoo Fantasy for years before, but the updates they're rolling out this month are absolutely wild in the very best way, right? And one of my favorites is that guillotine league that they introduced. They just dropped it the other day. Every week, the lowest scoring team, adios, see you later, you're done, you're eliminated, and the last man standing wins. So that's always a fun way to do it. And to celebrate 28 years of fantasy football greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days through August. And like I mentioned, to kick it off, they just dropped Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine Leagues, a killer new way to play fantasy football where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated each week until there's just one team left standing. And with the season around the corner, now is the time to get your league together and give this new mode a try. If you're more into the classics, awesome. You can still play in head-to-head private leagues or join a public league as well. So stay tuned for more killer announcements and start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football right now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL.
And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday, free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to give a special shout out to those everyday listeners out there watching and listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. Cannot thank you enough. And if you're new to the show, lots of new viewers, lots of new listeners lately, join that Everyday Listeners Club. The season is fast approaching, and all you got to do is just watch and listen to an episode every time we drop it, and you won't miss a thing about your Los Angeles Rams. All right, Travis. So yesterday, the deal got done that we've heard about for months now. It was extremely drama-free. It was very different than the contract negotiation situation going on in Buffalo for a running back, right? I mean, you know how the Rams do business. I think you were the guy that said they don't do ugly. Nope. And there's another example. I mean, it was a clean extension. You get a 3-year deal, $33 million. Essentially, with the guarantees, you could look at it as a 2-year, $23 million deal. It makes him the 7th highest paid running back in the NFL as far as AAV at $11 million per season. I think it was a fair deal.
I do too. I think, this is what the Rams do. I think they got what they wanted. I think the player got mostly what he wanted. I think everybody goes back to practice today feeling pretty good about this, knowing that they got a really good player at a position that is pretty darn important. But the Rams also didn't paint themselves into a corner by giving a position, a running back, a bunch of money that you feel like you're not going to be able to get out from underneath. Because let's be honest about this, and I don't mean this in any way to be disrespectful to Kyren Williams, who I think is a really good NFL running back. He's not Todd Gurley. He's not a holy smoke, I gotta have that kind of guy. He's I want to have that guy. I would like to have him around here, but the price has got to be right. And I think that the price that they landed on is about right. My radio partner, DeMarco Farr, explained this, I thought, pretty well yesterday, and I'm just going to flat out steal this from him right here, which is there are 3 competing factors that in a negotiation like this. There's what the player wants. There's what the team, like salary capologist, front office guys want. And then there's a third party, which is basically what the coaching staff wants. And this feels like more like a coaching staff win, that the team is going to offer something towards the bottom. The player is going to ask for something towards the top. And the coaching staff can come in and say, no, I got to have this guy that might kick that floor up a little bit. And that's kind of what this felt like, that Sean McVay and his staffs feel really good about Kyren Williams, want Kyren Williams to be a part of this. And that's why he got paid the way that he did. It's not break the bank stuff, but it's better than, like you said, 7th, 8th, 9th most AAV in the league. That's a good spot for him. He's a really good player. He scores a lot of touchdowns. He picks up a lot of yards. Not a ton of pop plays like we've talked about a lot, but he is a good NFL running back, and he's going to be paid accordingly. Hopefully that paycheck means he holds onto the ball a little better. Hopefully that's one of the fixes that's coming in his game. I think that's one of the downsides to Kyren Williams is his fumbling issue, which was on full display for a good chunk of last year. But I like it. I mean, had they not been able to come to a deal, I wouldn't have been banging my fist on the table saying he's got to stay, but I'm glad that he is.
So no doubt about it. I think that for Kyren Williams, you feel good about getting him set, right? I mean, he secured his bag, as they like to say. And I think for him, it's like, okay, as a player that gets paid, does the work ethic change? Does anything change? And I think that he's a guy where you can say comfortably it won't, just because the character guy that he is, he didn't make anything about this. He still went to all the offseason events. He's still putting a lot of work. He's said great things about the organization. The organization said great things about him. And clearly he's happy. And like you point out, I mean, they didn't reset the market for him, right? No. They didn't completely change things up just to get him. And I think that the Rams are always going to have a little trauma from the Todd Gurley situation. And he's not at Todd Gurley's level as far as just his ceiling. But this was the first multi-year deal that you've given out to a running back since then. So it does prove that the Rams, doesn't matter what position you play, if you give them quality as far as the running back position, they're going to pay you. And I thought it was cool what he said. He talked about it yesterday. It feels amazing. He said the whole day is surreal. I'll never forget this day, but this is the day that I worked for my whole life. All that good stuff. He asked about kind of what he's going to do, and he was basically saying retire his mom, tell my mom she's good. So that's pretty cool. I'm at the point for me and my mom where like I'll take her out to lunch or dinner and we'll go half. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
no appetizers, Mom. Look, we're splitting this right down the middle.
Waters for the table. Waters for the table. Like
if you want that blooming onion, you're paying for it. It's not coming out of my half.
That's got to be pretty awesome. So the point I'm trying to make though is like when sometimes when guys get paid, it's like, all right, cool. But I do think there's a little extra with Kyren Williams. Like, man, this guy really earned this. He's a 5th round pick. You know what I mean?
Look, it is a great story, and much like yourself, it really does put a smile on my face when you hear one of the first things the guy wants to do is retire his mom. That's just terrific. He's a hardworking guy, and not to generalize this too much. He's a Notre Dame guy, right? These are the way that these guys go about that. They're not particularly noisy for the most part, and the Rams aren't noisy. And it's kind of going back to where we started the show, D-Mac, and everydayers will have heard me say this before. We were talking about Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones wants as much noise as possible. Like, he loves the noise. He loves is he coming? Is he going? Is he going to get a deal? Is he going to hold out? Are they going to bench this guy? Are they going to do that? The Rams are the exact opposite. They want no noise. They want it to be as quiet as possible. They want to just go to work, eliminate distractions, and they're really good at it. I'm sure that, both sides were probably, I don't want to say sweating it necessarily, but both. Look, they wanted him to stay, but they don't want to overpay. Kyren wants to stay, but he wants to get what he believes that he deserves. Only it never got acrimonious. It never got public. And he's here and he'll continue to work. And everything just keeps moving. And it's a real testament to everybody involved, the guys that they draft, the guys that negotiate these contracts, the front office, that, Kyren himself, everybody just handled this the way that you would hope that it's handled. And I think it's a great reflection of not just Kyren, but the team itself and how buttoned up everybody is. It really gives you a great deal of confidence, or at least it does to me.
Yeah. And that's why it is kind of funny, the juxtaposition of the Rams and the Cowboys right now, just kind of how they do their business, how the Cowboys do their business. And Jerry Jones makes it very clear that you just want to be talked about, positively or negatively. You want to just kind of be a part of that national picture. Rams don't like that at all whatsoever. And I think, too, it is kind of about the players that they draft, right? I mean, who knows? Jared Verse, I think the personality that he has a couple years from now, if he wants something done and it doesn't feel like it is, he could be a guy that kind of, might say something. Who knows? But, I also think that the Rams pay when it's time to pay. And that's the other thing.
I do too. That when it's time to pay special, they have shown that they will. They paid Todd Gurley. They paid Aaron Donald. They've paid Matthew Stafford. They paid Jared Goff. Like they pay the guys that they believe need to get paid. And even if Jared Verse is a more a boisterous guy, a guy that might speak out a little bit more than a player like Kyren Williams, that's okay. The Rams aren't going to do that. The Rams aren't going to engage in noise. They just don't do it. And I think that, the proof of concept is out on the field. And not to pile on the Cowboys here, but the Cowboys are really noisy, but are they any good? Not really. They're okay. They don't stink, but it's like they're more noisy than they are functional. The Rams are just exceptionally functional and really quiet when it comes to stuff like this. Give me this all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. I like too how Adam Schefter, when he tweeted out, he said that it's per Drew and Jason Rosenhaus, which is pretty interesting. Are they like the Noah Eagle and Ian Eagle of sports agents now? I mean, what's actually happening with this? The double agent in the tweets kind of new for me. I mean, I'm trying. I think you gotta love that. But yeah, as you point out, I mean, this is a guy he's productive. I mean, last 2 seasons, almost 30 touchdowns. Last year, I think the big thing for him was playing 16 games, almost 1,300 yards on 316 carries. And I think that's something that the Rams definitely wanted to see because he's dealt with some injuries. There's been the fumble issue in there occasionally. So it's good to know that not only is he back, but we also know there's areas of his game that he wants to improve on, right? Just kind of adding a little more explosion. I mean, we know that's not his game, but the fact that he's trying to improve that area, I think says a lot about him as well. So
yeah, he's not going to turn into Christian McCaffrey. I get that. He's not going to be an explosive, dynamic player like that, but can he be better than he was? Can he be more explosive than he was? You don't have to go from, a C level explosive to an A plus. Can we go from a C to a C plus or a C to a B minus? And that's a win. And, when it comes to the fumbling, just, hold on to the ball because that's the quickest way to fall out of favor, not just with the fans, but with the coaching staff. And as long as he holds on to the ball, he's going to be an incredibly important part of what they do.
Yeah, the Rams also have Jarquez Hunter and, of course, Blake Corum from last season. We'll see how they emerge. The Gurley deal was wild because it was 4 years, $57.5 million before he even played that snap on that deal. But, of course, it's all about health, right? And I think that's the biggest thing for Kyren. Feels like a guy that's not going to have anything degenerative, right? If he has something, it will be fluky, knick-knack here and there. But the dude is kind of built like that. So that's what I feel is a major part of why they got this done. But coming up next, We're going to get into the joint practices, throw a couple of takeaways, probably stretch this one out over the next couple episodes. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
Summer sports are in full swing, so whether you are about baseball under the lights, like, I don't know, Locked On Dodgers with Travis Rogers, or golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. So you're already watching the action, right? You're following along. Why not make it a little bit more exciting? And you can do it. With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are doing whatever it is they do in the middle of the summer. While you're awesome with FanDuel, they're doing, I don't know, staring at the wall, something. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups. The app is always keeping it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet, so it never gets stale. It's always exciting, so you can have a same-game parlay or watch that bet ride deep into the ninth inning. FanDuel makes everything feel like I am part of the action. And if you're new to FanDuel, cool, welcome. New customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started.
And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Okay, Travis, let's get into some joint practice talk. It's that time of year.
Yeah.
Those juicy, delicious practice video, joint practice session videos on social media. What can you take away from those? And the first thing that really stands out to me is Davante Adams looks like Davante Adams, right? Looks like you can't cover the guy. Looks like he's running great routes and getting open. There's a couple plays where Jimmy Garoppolo hit him with some really nice throws back of the end zone kind of stuff. And that's what you want to see. I mean, we talked a lot about baseball on the show. You mentioned your podcast, Locked On Dodgers, shout out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Mookie Betts, is he still like Mookie Betts, right? I mean, last night he looked like he was for most of the season. He looked like he hasn't at the plate. I think that's the thing about the guy like Davante Adams, right? Like, how long is he going to look like Davante Adams? You're not asking for more. You're just hoping for not a lot less. And I think that so far, I mean, it's very early. The way he's carried himself, the way he's looked, the body, just the mindset, it looks like they're getting the Davante Adams that they're hoping to get, at least so far.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that the best way to kind of quantify or articulate how exciting it is to have Davante Adams is that no one's saying, where's Cooper Kupp, right? That Cooper Kupp was a Super Bowl MVP not that long ago, right? I know it wasn't last season or anything like that, but Cooper Kupp is one of the most popular Los Angeles Rams players since they came back to LA 10 years ago. And he's gone, and everybody's like, yeah, Davante looks great. That is a real testament to what he's been able to bring. And I think everybody's incredibly excited to see how good he's going to be. I'm not trying to dredge up old things, but Jimmy Garoppolo and Davante Adams, we've seen that before. That's one thing. I'm excited to see Matthew Stafford and Davante Adams. I'm excited to see what those two guys together can do. And again, I'll go back to something that the everydayers have heard before, but the best wide receiver season in history might have been Calvin Johnson. Who was their quarterback? It was Matthew Stafford. If that wasn't the best season ever, it might have been the Cooper Kupp Triple Crown season. Who was the quarterback? It was Matthew Stafford. The greatest rookie wide receiver season in history was Puka Nacua. Who was the quarterback? Matthew Stafford. That's not a coincidence. That dude makes guys look amazing. And if you are amazing, he's going to kick you to a level up and beyond that. And Davante Adams is pretty darn amazing. So what they might be able to accomplish together, I think, is incredibly exciting. Unfortunately, we're not seeing Stafford in these dual team workouts, but I'm still very optimistic that he's going to be here during the regular season. And Stafford plus Adams could be electric.
I love that. That gets me really, really excited just because that's just proof right there that if you're really good, if you're elite, and Matthew Stafford trusts you, he's going to get you the football because his arm is special. And I'm excited to see that. I agree that in the back of my mind, it's something that I would have hoped that, okay, it'd be a little easier for them to just create that chemistry and Matthew Stafford not dealing with any back injury. But it's not like it's a 24-year-old Davante Adams, right, or 25-year-old. This is a true veteran, been around the block. He's worked with multiple quarterbacks. He knows what it's like to work with great quarterbacks. He knows what it's like to work with bad quarterbacks. Not going to name names, but he's certainly going to be excited to work with Matthew Stafford. I think Stafford is got to be a top 1 or 2 or 3 reason why he's even playing for this organization. So, they're excited to work together.
I would just 2 things with why Davante Adams is in LA as opposed to any of the other 28 teams that he theoretically could have gone to is Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay. Well, they're both still here, and they're both still at the top of their game. We know McVay is, he's Sean McVay. I don't need to add any context to that. And assuming Matthew Stafford is healthy, like you said, D-Mac, he can still sling it as good as anybody in this entire league. He just, that bad back, this, I know that. You and I both have back problems, and we're not NFL players, and sometimes it can be, debilitating just to drive your car. So hopefully he's healthy and ready to go. But the Davante component of what this offense might, I cannot wait. I know we got to wait till Houston on opening Sunday to see it for real. And we're still, about almost exactly a month away from that happening, but it can't get here fast enough. He's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
And I love that you bring that up because that is what I've been waiting for. I'm waiting for September 7th against the Texans. Then I'm dropping Davante Adams. I'm calling him just Tay. At that point, I'm calling him just Tay because I know that's what the real ones call him. Also, you mentioned Cooper Kupp, and you made that comparison to kind of the grunge era 90s look that he's going with his hair.
Yeah.
Someone in the comments, I want to give him credit. I forgot his name, but someone in the comments called him Coop Cobain. So maybe we can call him that. I kind of like it. Kind of works for me. What do you think?
I got nothing to add. That's perfect.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But guys, tomorrow, more on the joint practice sessions, more Rams talk, more takeaways. We'll look at the schedule once again, too. It's been a while for that. So that's coming up tomorrow. But thanks again, guys, for joining us here on Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. You can follow the People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers, at Travis Rogers. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.